Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in our Chats with Emily's. We are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson contained in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 672, The Future Never Spoke. Now, we're in this poem going to watch Emily personifying the future. And this is the question of theodicy in large measure. Do we actually have any control over the future that's coming, and especially the pain and sorrow and suffering that's probably coming as well? Now, our assumption, she's been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hoping you worked through our set of introductory comments as well as the previous 671 poems. We just finished with 671, She Dwelleth in the Ground. You will hear lots and lots of echoes from those earlier studies as we read this poem together. I want to point out that in 21 of her poems, Emily references fate. The future never spoke, nor will he, like the dumb, reveal by sign a syllable of his profound to come. But when the news be ripe, presents it in the act, forestalling preparation, escaped, or substitute, indifferent to him, the dower as the doom, his office but to execute fate's telegram to him. Now, it is interesting that she begins with the future and she ends with fate, the two F words of the poem, as some have commented on. Notice, the future never actually tells us what's coming, nor will he, but rather, like the dumb, will only reveal through sign language, a syllable of his profound to come. Again, this use of the word profound in this way takes us back to poem 60, and you'll remember we made some observations about it back then, being used in a number of poems. 168 was profound galaxies, 822, 1058, 1090, 672, of course we're doing now, and 1695. She loves this word profound, and she says there is profound stuff to come. It's just we don't know what it is. But when the news, notice capitalized, be right, in other words, it's happening, it will then present in the act. That is to say, there is no future. There's only this present moment. When you die, you will not die in the future as you get ready to flatline 5, 4, 3, 2. You never meet the future. The only thing we know of the future is this moment in time, she says. Forestalling preparation, there's no way to get ready for it. There's no real way to prepare for fate, or to escape it, or to somehow substitute. But then notice she says about the future that it's indifferent. Fate, indifferent, doesn't care. The future has no feelings. The dower is the doom. His office is what? But to execute. I think that's the key word of the poem, because of course the word execute can have so many different meanings, right? To execute fate's telegram to him. Again, fate used in 21 poems. When we get to poem 1523, we'll come back to this idea one more time. We never know we go when we are going. We jest and shut the door. Fate following behind us bolts it, and we accost no more. Of course, this use of the door takes us back to poem 303, no doubt. Okay, what are we going to do with this in a message? I think our argument is that fate, like nature, is indifferent in large measure to human pain, it seems. To be, I love this word execute as being the key word of the poem, to act, or obviously to kill, right, to end. At 3a, well, I think 1523 will be fun for us when we come back to this study. Finally, what are your thoughts on fate, on the future, and to what degree is it somewhat indifferent? And are you waiting for the telegram to come? Again, Chats with Emily. Thank you.